In a room, 4 people named Arios, Agath, Lean, and Mina were seen with a young boy named Ryan. They were known as the Hero Party. They all had stern looks on their faces as Arios, the leader, told Ryan that he had been fired. The scene then went back in time when Ryan was seen playing with wolves. Ryan was a beast tamer who could communicate with animals and tame their strength by entering into contracts with them. Later, Ryan was seen on a mission with his comrades from the Hero Party. He explained that beast tamers were not suitable for combat, but he worked as a support for them. In the present, Ryan was confused and thought that they were joking. However, he looked at their faces and realized that they were serious. Rain asked them why, and they told him that he was useless to them in combat. They all agreed that he slowed them down, and they had to save him every time. Rain was in shock as they continued to insult him. He realized that they never liked him at all, contrary to what he thought. Arios told him to leave and drop off all his gear because they had bought it all. Rain took off his gear and left. Later that day, Rain sat in the middle of town, contemplating the events that had taken place earlier, and remembering the hurtful words the Hero Party had said about him. He realized that they had never truly cared for him and had only used him for their own benefit. With no money on him, he was unsure of what to do next when a few children approached him and asked about his job. They excitedly requested that he demonstrate his powers, and Rain obliged by performing magic and entering into a contract with the bird. The bird greeted the children politely and then flew away when the contract was broken. Rain began to explain the process, but the children were confused, so he stopped. They then revealed to him that they wanted to be beast tamers when they grew up rather than heroes. They explained that Arios and his team were mean to them and acted annoyed whenever the townspeople tried to talk to them. They also mentioned that the hero team only catered to the rich and nobles, causing the people in the town to dislike them. Rain realized that this was why people at the market scowled at him whenever he went to buy supplies for the team. The children told him that he was different and always played with them. One of the children expressed his desire to become an adventurer and make a fortune killing monsters when he grew up. This gave Rain the idea to sell his skills as an adventurer while traveling freely and earning money. The following day, Rain goes to the Horizon Adventurers Guild to obtain a license. The receptionist, Natalie, introduces herself and tries to explain his first test, but Rain requests her to tell him about being an adventurer since he is entirely clueless about it. Natalie is surprised by his question, as nobody ever asks that, and commends him for being on the right path to becoming a good adventurer. She explains the adventurer rankings and everything else related to it, and Rain thanks her when she is done. She then asks for his occupation, and Rain reveals that he is a beast tamer. Natalie expresses surprise and warns him about the potential danger associated with such a job. She advises him to avoid taking any risky assignments and tells him that he must pass a skills assessment test before acquiring a license. The test requires him to slay 10 goblins and collect 20 medicinal herbs. Rain completes the task with ease, thanks to the help of a squirrel he had previously contracted. The goblins are F-ranked monsters. As he is about to leave, he hears someone scream and rushes to a clearing, where he finds a girl, Kinade, about to be attacked by a killer tiger, a D-ranked monster. Rain stabs the tiger in the head with his dagger, but the weapon shatters without even injuring the monster. The tiger then turns towards Ryan, but he decides to buy the girl some time to escape and urges her to run. However, to Rain's surprise, Kinade refuses to flee. Instead, she rises to the sky and delivers a massive blow to the tiger, killing it instantly. Rain is shocked to see her sit on top of the tiger, as if nothing had happened. He realizes that she is an ultimate species, a cat spirit, one of the rarest and almost extinct beings. Ultimate species are creatures of inexplicable power, such as dragonoids, fairies, demigods, and cat spirits. After the tiger vanishes, Rain rushes to catch Kinade as she passes out. While holding her, he hears her stomach rumbling. Rain shares his food with Kinade and watches as she happily munches on it. He explains that her cat species is almost extinct, and although they can't use magic, they are incredibly strong. After finishing her meal, Kinade thanks Rain and reveals that she hadn't eaten or drunk anything for a few days and was on the brink of death from hunger. She even saw her grandparents waving at her from the other side. Rain introduces himself as Rainshroud and tells her that he was in the middle of his test when he heard her scream, calling her Miss. However, Kinade asks him to call her by name instead. Rain asks her why she was so close to the human population, and Kinade explains that there are not many of them left, so they live deep in the mountains. She was bored and decided to leave. Kinade then asks Ryan to tell her about himself, so he narrates everything that happened with the Hero Party. Kinade is furious at how they treated him, and Rain is touched by her anger on his behalf. Rain thanks Kinade for listening and patting her head, but then tries to stop, realizing what he was doing. However, Kinade is pleased and encourages him to continue. She tells him that he is not useless, and asks him to try taming her. Rain is surprised, but decides to give it a try. Kinade believes he can tame her since she felt a buzzing like electricity when he tried to save her. her. Rain thinks that if he can tame an ultimate species, it might help him in his adventures, and what happened to him as a child will never happen again. He accepts the challenge and says that he wants to get to know Kanad, not just because she is the ultimate species. Rain bites his hand and drops the blood on his palm. The blood disappears into his palm and turns into a red rune. He holds his hands to her and starts casting the spell. At the end, he asks her to speak her name to seal the contact. He hopes that she hears his voice inside and speaks her name, because if not, then the contract fails. Just then, Kanade speaks her name. The blood leaves Rain's hand into Kanade's and forms the same pattern on her palm, and the spell is completed. She asks him if it is done, and he says yes, and asks her to check her hand. Rain tells her that it is a symbol. They are linked to each other. Kanade is thrilled and says that now they are bound together. Rain says yes, they now share a bond. They shake hands, and Kanade is so pleased that she blushes and drags him away as they run away. Rain is so happy as he thinks about how he was kicked out with nothing, but now an ultimate species has chosen him. Later that day, Rain returns to the Adventurers Guild to turn in the 10 goblin stones and 20 medicinal herbs he collected. Natalie, the guild receptionist, checks his submission and confirms that it's complete. She congratulates him on passing the test and awards him his adventurer's license. Rain is now an F-ranked adventurer, and Natalie rewards him with 50 copper coins. She tells him that his pay will increase as he rises through the ranks. Rain thanks her and leaves, but he worries about how he'll afford equipment and lodging with such a small amount of money. As he exits the guild, he sees Kanade waiting for him. She's thrilled to hear that he passed the test and got his license. Rain asks her if she's okay with him accepting jobs now, and she happily agrees. Just then, a man interrupts them. He notices that she is a cat spirit and wants her for himself. He asks her what she is doing in a place like this, and Kanade turns away and tells him that she has nothing to say to him. He mocks Rain and tells her to hang out with him instead. Kanade angrily screams at him and tells him not to mock Rain. She grabs Rain's arm and tells the man that Rain tamed her. The man doesn't believe them and starts laughing as he continues to mock him and call him a liar. Kanade tells him that Rain is stronger than him, so the man challenges him to a hand fight to test his so-called power, and he tells her that Kanade will be the prize for the winner. He continues to taunt Rain. Rain thinks that if he doesn't take the challenge, the man will likely come after Kanade in the future, so he accepts. The man tells him not to cry if he gets his arm broken. Immediately after the fight starts, Rain uses all his might to snap the man's arm down and break the table, shocking everyone, including himself. Kanade raises Rain's hand happily and announces him as the winner. The man lies on the floor, screaming in pain from a broken hand. Natalie walks in to see what the commotion is about and realizes it is the usual troublemaker. She apologizes to Rain, and she tells him that the guild was aware of the man causing trouble and that they've been contemplating suspending his license. As the man writhes in pain, he grabs Natalie's skirt, making her angry. She grabs a table and hits him on the head. As Natalie turns to leave, she asks him sternly how he contracted an ultimate species during his test. Rain and Kanade are afraid that she is angry, but she apologizes to them. She tells him happily that they expect good things from him now that he has a strong partner. Natalie picks up the passed out man and drags him out as she leaves. Rain looks at his hand and wonders how he won. Kanade tells him that when he is contracted to an ultimate species, it amplifies his power. She tells him that he is as strong as her right now. Rain says he had no idea because he had never met anyone contracted to an ultimate species before. Kanade says she was happy when he stood up for her. In excitement, she tells him that they should go do their job as adventurers now. A few hours later, Kanade is seen disappointed because they were picking herbs and she thought they'd be doing something exciting. She screams at him in frustration and says they're supposed to be rescuing a princess or hunting for a legendary sword. Rain tells her that he is at the bottom, which means basic jobs for now. She gets powered up and promises to get all the herbs so they can increase rank. She turns around to see him commending the rabbits for bringing the herbs they needed. She tells him sadly that she was hoping to get the herbs and screams at the rabbits for hogging all the attention, as she also wanted a pat on the head. Rain tells her they need to return to the guild, but Kanade tells him that she senses something, and they run to check it out. They see a group of gangs, the Ebon Fangs, picking on an old merchant. Kanade tells Rain that they are a ruthless gang, with over 100 men. He tells her they need to stop them. Rain says he will jump in and handle them while she takes care of the old man. They both charge in, and while Rain continues to fight them off, Kanade goes to protect the old man. She turns to stare at Rain and thinks that he will make a very good beast tamer one day, but she is afraid that because of her power, he may not be able to control it or that it might break his mind. She thinks it might be safer for them if she fights instead of him. As she continues to stare at his fight, he handles himself well, and she can't help but admire him, forgetting herself in the moment. Rain finished his fight and called out to her, That's when she realized she was supposed to be protecting the man. Rain notices the redness on her face and asks worriedly if she is hurt. Kinnaid is embarrassed and tells him it is amazing that he fought without weapons. Rain explained that they were trained in martial arts so that they could tame animals without hurting them with weapons. The old man thanked them for saving him. Rain asked him why he was traveling alone. The old man told him he contracted guards, but they ran away as soon as they saw the gang. He told them that he was worried that the gang would come for revenge once they heard of this. Rain says if they are that dangerous, then he needs to capture all of them. The old man and Kinnaid are shocked. Kinnaid runs after him as he leaves. Later, on their way to the gang's hideout, Kinnaid tries to dissuade him, but he tells her that if they run, the merchant may end up killed instead. Kinnaid is still scared, but Rain says he has a plan. They reach the hideout, and Rain thanks a squirrel for leading them there. Kinnaid is frustrated because she wanted to find the hideout, but the squirrel bested her to it. Rain tries to cheer her up and tells her that she has been of great help. She asks about his plan, and Rain explains that he made a contract with Arbe. They have a paralytic sting that puts anyone down for 12 hours. Kinnaid is surprised and tells him she thought bees were considered insects, so how can he tame them? Rain explains to her that he learned how to become an insect tamer too. Kinnaid is amazed that he has those skills and tells him that he is full of surprises. Rain says he will send the bees inside the hideout, and he tells her to go into town and get help. Kinnaid gets sad again and tells him that he is always doing the heavy lifting, and she wonders if she is really of any help to him. Rain assures her that she is helpful. She asks him what he meant earlier by bringing help, and Rain tells her to bring some adventurers and also report to the knights. He says they are tasked with maintaining peace, so they will come if she tells them about the bandits. She tells him to be careful, and Rain promises to run if things get out of hand, and she leaves. The bee that he signed a contract with arrived with a bunch of others, and Rain also entered into a contract with them. In another part of town, Mina and Lean are seen heaving out of breath. Mina tells her that no one followed them. It turns out that they were the ones who ran away when the Ebonfangs were threatening the old man. Lean tells her she thought it was a way to make quick money, but they had to run into a bunch of bandits. She says she wishes they went with Arios and Agath to hang out with nobles instead. Mina tells her she was the one who said it was a waste of time before. Lean tells her she still thinks it is a waste of time, and she doesn't get why they have to suck up to rich people who are not even royalty. She angrily grabbed the young beast tamer they brought in to replace Rain. She tells him that he couldn't even buy them time and ran away first. The man tells them that he is a beast tamer and cannot fight. Mina asks why he didn't scout the area properly. She says he only contracted one squirrel. Lean says he should have contacted about 20 of them. The man is shocked and tells her that is not possible. He says most people can't even talk less often at once. He says beast tamers tame one beast at a time, and if they tried to tame more than one at a time, it would destroy their nervous system. Lean remembers that Rain can tame dozens of beasts at the same time. She threatens the boy with her magic and tells him that he should take the blame for the failed mission, and nobody can ever know that they were involved. The boy fearfully agrees and runs away. Mina starts to talk about Rain, but Lean cuts in and leaves, as she also thinks about Rain and doesn't want to believe what the boy said. Inside the cave, the bees have paralyzed the gang. Rain thanks them and breaks the contract. Just then, Kinnaid arrives with help. The adventurers commend Rain for handling the gang all by himself and tell him they'll handle the rest. He thanks them and looks around, not seeing the knights. They tell him that the knights refuse to come. Rain pats Kinnaid on the head and thanks her for her help. She happily tells him she is glad to help. Suddenly, the cave shakes and they hear a deep rumbling inside. Just then, giant king lizards break the cage doors and come out of their cages. Rain is shocked and wonders what C-ranked monsters are doing in the cage. One of the gang members tells him that they keep them around for use in times when they are attacked. He shouts at the monsters to attack, but one of the monsters kills him instantly and starts attacking everyone in the cave. Rain punches one of them, and it falls. Kinnaid also attacks the monsters, leaving the adventurers astounded as they watch. Rain tells them to clear the cave and leave the monsters to them. As they fight the monsters, Rain wonders that the old him would have been useless, but now he has Kinnaid. He feels unstoppable. Outside the cave, the men wonder if the duo has been killed, but just then, they walk out of the cave victoriously. The crowd erupts with cheers and praise. Rain feels good, as he cannot believe he is the same person who was kicked out of the hero party. He looks at Kinnaid, thanks her for being by his side, and tells her that he feels that with her by his side, he can do anything. Kinnaid is thrilled. That evening, Kinnaid leaps onto the bed, thrilled to be sleeping in a bed, but Rain just stops at the door, fearing they will have to share a room. Rain recounts the events that preceded this startling scene. He claims that because it was considered an accomplishment to take out the gang, hauling the group they had captured kept them up until late at night. After that, they were called to the guild to receive a reward. After receiving a substantial sum of money and a promotion to an E rank, they bought equipment from the town and celebrated with a feast. Afterward, they chose to book 2 rooms, but the innkeeper informed them that she was only able to provide one. He tried to leave, but but she dragged him to the room nonetheless. Kinnaid interrupts his thoughts and tells him to come try the bed, but he turns to leave and tells her he will be camping outside. Kinnaid tries to stop him and says they already paid for a whole week. Rain tells her he can't sleep in the same room as a girl. He tells her not to trust anyone, not even him, because he is also a stranger. He turns to leave, but Kinnaid says she trusts him. She says he is different and they are comrades, even though they just met. She adds that she can't let her comrade sleep outside. Rain is touched and decides to stay. Besides, there are 2 separate beds in the room. As she continues to check out the room, he looks at her proudly. Kinnaid watched Rain as he slept that night, and as she looked at him, she couldn't help but think he was a good person. She recounts that among the ultimate species, cat spirits are rare, which is why countless humans have always tried to catch her. Some approached her for money, greed, and glory, but Rain was different. He was just surprised to meet her and even tried to save her out of sheer goodwill. She said he showed interest in knowing her, which made her very happy. She adds that Rain may still be hurt from being kicked out, but he never shows it and just smiles. She then promises to make him smile. A week later, Rain and Kinnaid are seen happily picking herbs. Rain narrates that they have been enjoying their lives as adventurers. Later that day, they head to the guild, and Natalie tells them that the guard dog of Stride Bridge has been picking fights with anyone who tries to cross. She says the guard dog hasn't killed anyone yet, as they just leave once they feel they've won the battle. She pleads with him to take the job. Rain asks if E-ranked are qualified, but she says that the job is open to all ranks, and the reward is 5 gold pieces. Rain and Kinnaid are shocked and immediately agree to take the job. When they reach the bridge, Kinnaid is happy because it is her first time on the bridge. Rain tells her that it is the only way to travel from the central continent to their town, Horizon, located on the southern continent. Kinnaid continues to look around the bridge in amazement. She asks him what type of person the guard dog is. Rain also wonders because the witnesses are all alive, but they refuse to talk about the identity of the guard dog. Suddenly, Canada calls his attention to something in the sky, and they are both shocked to see a dragon. It races towards them and lands with an explosion. When the dust clears, a young girl walks out and challenges them to fight her. The duo is shocked that the dragon is a girl. Rain asks if she has been the one causing chaos on the bridge, and she tells them yes. She introduced herself as Tanya, of the ultimate species, the Dragonoids, and she told them that the bridge was for her training. Kinnaid tells Rain that once Dragonoids turn 15, they must set out on a journey to become very strong. Tanya tells them that she has been searching for someone strong enough and that both of them will do it. She says she won't leave the bridge until they fight. Rain wonders how he is supposed to fight a Dragonoid. Kinnaid reminds him that she is also an ultimate species. Tanya tries to attack Rain, but he catches her hand before she can hit him, and she finds it impressive that he can move that fast. She still manages to hit him backward and says that he has passed the first test. Tanya then breathes fire and pours it on them, but they both dodge, although Kinnaid's tail gets hit. She jumps in pain as Rain rushes to put it out. Kinnaid looks at her tail and tells Tanya angrily that she shouldn't have done that. She charges her and attacks her. Rain looked at them in amazement as they both matched each other's strength. He decides to join the fight, and they both attack Tanya together, but Tanya is no match for them as she blocks the attack. She held Rain by his arms and Kinnaid by a foot, whirled them around, and then threw them into the sky. She then uses her hands to blast them with fire. When the smoke from the blast settles, she is surprised to see them doing fine. It turns out the duo used their feet to boost themselves and push themselves out of the way. Tanya commended them for lasting so long. Rain thinks about the fight and wonders how they are supposed to win when she is so powerful. He tells Kinnaid to buy him 3 minutes so he can carry out his plan. She goes to attack Tanya, while Rain goes to search for birds to tame. The two girls continue to dish and dodge their blows swiftly. Tanya wonders how long she can last, and Kinnaid tells her that Rain has a plan. Rain is shocked. She said that because it was supposed to be a secret. He focused his power, found a bird, and cast a spell. He tells the bird to bring some friends back. Rain comes back to join them, and tells Kinnaid to leave the rest to him. Tanya asks if she will be fighting him next, but Rain tells her she will be fighting the birds. The birds fly in and start pecking all over Tanya's body. They couldn't hurt her, but she still found it very annoying. She angrily hits them, and they fly away. Tanya mocks his attempt and tries to attack him, but falls to the ground, unable to move. Rain introduces her to the birds. Pito. He tells her that the bright tail indicates that they are poisonous. He says the poison should keep her down for a while. Tanya finally gives up and says he won. The duo hugged and screamed in joy. Rain tells Tanya that she needs to come with them. Tanya thinks he wants to sell her, but he tells her that he just wants to talk. He tells her to promise not to block the bridge again. Tanya says, what if she refuses? Rain just laughs and tells her he will be in for a real fix if she does. Tanya grumbles and calls him a weirdo. She tells him he should have just tried to sell her instead. Kinnaid pinches her arm and tells her not to cause trouble for Rain, and she agrees screaming in pain and begging her to stop. They report back to the guild, and Natalie screams in surprise when she hears they chase the guard dog away. She commends him and says he will get his reward once they confirm his story. She then points and asks him who Tanya is. Rain awkwardly blocks her view, but Natalie notices the tail and horns, and Rain panics and says she is wearing a costume. Tanya pushes him out of the way and tries to introduce herself, but Rain covers her mouth and drags her out. Outside, he tells her she can never tell anyone she is the guard dog, but he turns around to see that Tanya is gone, and she is asking a knight to fight her. A group of children looks at the tail in astonishment, and again she tries to expose herself, but Rain and Kinnaid cut in and stop her. They get her somewhere private and warn her not to say a word to anyone again. Rain tells her to get away from the town and that they won't hurt her, but she has to promise not to do anything like this again. They ask her why the men she attacked didn't expose her identity. Tanya says that they were not happy about being beaten by a girl. Tanya is surprised that Rain refused to hand her over to be arrested. They asked what she planned to do about her training, and she said she had decided to join them. The duo is shocked and asks why. Tanya tells them it was fun hanging out with them. She then hugs Ryan and tells him she likes him. Kanade screams at her to let him go. Tanya starts to make fun of her. Rain says he doesn't mind having Tanya in their group, and Kanade, now irritated, also says she is fine with it. Tanya asks Rain to form a contract with her. Ren casts the spell as usual, and Tanya says her name, sealing the contract. Kanade tells her to check her palm, and she does. She looks at it and says she feels connected to him. Rain can't believe that he contracted 2 ultimate species. Tanya pinches his face to bring him back to reality. That evening, Arios becomes enraged over their week-long stay in the woods for no apparent reason. They are all exhausted. The fact that they must perform all of Rain's previous tasks is raised. Arios promises to bring him back and fake an apology. He reminds them that Rain is ridiculously nice. He continues, saying they can simply dump him once more after the lost wood is cleared out. At the inn, as Rain sleeps peacefully on the floor, the girls bicker with each other about who gets to watch Rain sleep. After Tanya joined the group, their first job was eradicating slime. Tanya uses fire to burn them, while Kanade searches for them. Rain explains that slimes are F-ranked monsters that anyone can beat, so most adventurers don't bother with them. But when left unattended for long, slimes multiply and ravage farms. Kanade tells Tanya that she doesn't like fighting slime, as they get all sticky. Tanya tells her to leave them to her. All she has to do is mow them all with fireballs. Kinnaid is thrilled and thanks her. They continued to chatter happily as Rain looked at them, happy that they were getting along. The trio looked for slimes but with no luck, so Rain called a bird and told the girls that he would assimilate and search by himself. He casts a spell and faints, shocking the girls. They get very worried, but they hear his voice as the bird speaks. He tells them that he just transferred his consciousness to the bird, which allows him to use the bird's body. Rain says it is called assimilate, one of the Beastmaster's skills. The girls are surprised that he can do that. Rain tries to tell them that most beast tamers can do it, but they scream at him, telling him it is not true. Rain flies away and tells them to take care of his body. Later on, they found a large pool of slime. Kanade tries to attack them, but Tanya stops her. She asked Rain if he knew how to cast spells. He tells her that he can do the little kinds of stuff like heal and fireball. He says he tried to learn a long time ago, but those two were all he could muster. Tanya tells him to attack the pool of slime with his fireball. Rain tells her that his fireball is not powerful enough, but she pushes him to try. Rain focuses and casts the spell, sending a huge fireball that wipes out all of the slime. Rain and Kanade are shocked. Tanya explained that since his contract with Kanade gave him her strength, it means his contract with her gave him the magical abilities of a dragonoid. She says her fire is also powered by magic, and adds that dragon magic is the second most powerful among the ultimate species. Rain doesn't understand a word she says. Just then, more slimes gathered again, so Tanya said they would use them for Rain's practice. She tells him that since he can't control the magic yet, he should still try, since he is their master. Rain gets powered up, decides to do it, and thinks he doesn't want to embarrass the ultimate species that chose him. He asks Tanya to be his teacher, and she agrees. They start the practice, but Tanya is a very strict teacher, and Rain is exhausted, but more slime turns up. Later on at the guild, the girls wait outside for Rain. A child walks up to them and asks about what they hunted today, and they tell her that they got a bunch of slime. They continue to discuss until Rain comes out. He tells them that they got paid a lot, so they head to the market to buy supplies and food. Rain looks at the girls as they go around. He explains that people believe it when they tell them that Tanya is an odd girl in a dragonoid costume. They go to a restaurant to eat, and Tanya and Kanade eat a whole bunch of food, way too fast. Rain just looks at them, amazed. They thank him for the food, and he thanks them for working so hard. He also thanked Tanya for teaching him earlier. She asks him where he learned to tame beasts, and Kanade says she is also curious. Rain tells them about his village, and the story goes back in time to when he was just a little boy. He said his parents were also beast tamers, so he was always learning. He also learned about insect taming from someone in the village. It was a small village without a name. He sadly says that the village doesn't exist anymore. Kinade apologizes for making him remember a sad memory, but he tells her it is all right. The girls both tell him that they asked because they wanted to know more about him, and he adds that if it is too painful, then he doesn't have to talk about it. He tells them that he wants them to know, so he starts to recount his childhood. When Rain was 12 years old, his parents were busy that day, so they couldn't watch him practice. He went to the outskirts of his village and practiced till late at night. When it got dark, he turned and saw that the sky was red towards the village, but when he arrived, the village was already burned to the ground with everyone in it. The village has been attacked by monsters. Adventurers rescued him and took him into custody. They left him at an inn that belonged to her friend. He had to work for them to earn his keep. He had to struggle to survive, until half a year ago, when he met the hero party. Adios was looking for a comrade and asked him to join them. He joined them happily, thinking he could make a difference there, but the reality was different from what he expected, as all they did was use him for menial jobs. Rain finished narrating his story and apologized for burdening them. Kinade grabbed his hands and said she wondered where he got the courage to fight since the day she met him, but now she realizes that he just doesn't want anyone to go through what he did, so he tries to help everyone, making him pleased. Tanya also joins her hands in and tells him that he is too kind for his own good and way too earnest. She adds calmly that it is not a bad thing. Tanya doesn't like getting emotional, so she closes her eyes and quickly adds that she is proud to have him as a master. Rain remembers all he went through with the hero party, and as he looks at the girls, tears fill his eyes. The girls startle him as they get angry on his behalf with the hero party. They continue to rant, but Rain tries to calm them down. The girls start to bicker and tease themselves, as Rain looks at them happily and wishes things would remain just as they are. The next morning, their next job is hunting orcs. Orcs are E-ranked monsters. Although they are not very strong, they are smart and fight with weapons. Kinade challenges Tanya to see who can defeat her more. Tanya agrees, and they both try to attack, but Tanya just rains fire at one and kills a bunch of them. They continue to fight the monsters and defeat them easily. Tanya and Kinade continue to challenge each other, but Rain warns them not to get carried away. He continues to advise them, but Tanya cuts in and starts boasting and getting cocky. The duo leaves him to continue their competition. Rain just hopes it goes well. The girls fight and defeat more orcs, and Tanya says this is far too easy. Just then, she sees one of them still moving, so she goes to check it out. She tries to blast it, but it grabs her leg and she falls. The orc almost attacks her, but she blasts it with a fireball. Suddenly another one comes up behind her and tries to attack, but Rain jumps in front of it and it hits his arm. Kinade then kills it. Tanya looks at his wound and becomes worried, but Rain performs a healing spell, heals himself, and shows it to her, telling her not to worry. Tanya still feels bad because he warned her and she didn't listen to him and wasn't careful enough. Kinade tells him to rest as she runs off to gather the stones. After submitting the stones at the guild, Rain comes out and asks Kinade where Tanya went. She tells him that she just left feeling down. Tanya stood on a bridge, thinking about what happened. The little girl from earlier asked her what they beat today, and Tanya sadly told her she beat nothing. The little girl, noticing her mood, asks if she feels pain anywhere. She tells her that her mother told her to always talk if it hurts. Tanya tells her that her mother is very wise. She thanks her for her concern, and the girl bids her goodbye and runs off. Tanya then remembers how he was worried about her earlier and warned her, but she refused to listen. She feels terrible about it. Rain interrupts her thoughts and asks her what is wrong. She stammered for a bit and then apologized for what happened earlier, but Rain patted her on the head and told her to stop worrying about it. She is surprised that he is not angry, and he tells her that he is just glad that she is safe. He tells her that Kinade is worried about her. Kinade runs in and hugs her in tears. That night, Rain asks the innkeeper if a spare room is now available, but she tells him no. The innkeeper and Rain continue to bicker as Tanya stares at him, amazed that he didn't scold her earlier. As Rain slept that night on the floor, Tanya continued to watch him. She thought the floor must be uncomfortable, but he let them sleep comfortably on the beds. Thoughts about Rain kept filtering into her mind. She realized that she may have feelings for him, and she denied it, telling herself that she was just kind to him. She dressed in his covers and looked at him as she smiled happily. The next morning, as the trio walked down a path, Kinade kept singing happily and told Rain that it was a successful job song. Tanya agrees that they have been successfully carrying out their tasks and tells him it is time to get him weapons, and Rain says they can get some once they get back. They continue to chatter happily, but suddenly, Rain stops dead in his tracks as he sees the hero party. Rain sighs and tells the girls that they will be taking another route as he turns to leave. Ario stops him and tells him not to act so cold. He casually tells him that they are sorry and adds that even though Rain was useless, they should have picked better words to send him away. This makes Rain very angry. Tanya and Kinade cut in, and Arios is about to tell Tanya off when he notices that they are the ultimate species. He is shocked and he asks them what they are doing here. Kanade tells him that they are Rain's comrades, and Arios concludes that Rain must be serving them. Kanade angrily reprimands him and says that Rain is their master. The hero party cannot believe it. Rain asks what they want, and Arios tells him that they tried to brace the lost woods, but the path kept changing, leading them back where they started. He adds that they couldn't carry much and had to return after a week of trying. Arios then offered him back his job taming beast to explore and also carry their load. Rain, furious, asks him if he thinks that he would agree to that. Arios tells him that he should feel honored, and the rest of his team agrees with him. Agath says he may be useless in combat, but he has a few uses. Mina agrees with him, and Lean tells him that he is lucky that they are considering a pathetic person like him. Rain tells them that he is not interested. The trio turns to leave, but Mina stops them. She tells Rain that they need the Shield of Truth from the Lost Woods. Mina explains that without the shield, they cannot defeat the Demon King, and monsters will overtake the world. Rain remembers his village and doesn't want something like that to happen. He then remembers what the hero party did to him, but he still agrees to help them. Arios smugly says that he should have agreed from the start, and they all start to insult him again and tell him to follow them. Kanade stops them and, with the calmest face, tells them she won't stop Rain from working with them. Then she looks at them sternly and says they must apologize first. Arios laughs and tells her that he has already apologized. She tells him that wasn't an apology. Tanya tells them that they were wrong, and now they want a favor, so they have to grovel. The hero party is shocked and adds that she would have just fried them with fire, but Rain wouldn't like that, so they just need to place their heads on the ground and beg. Arios is enraged and tells them that a hero can never grovel to a nobody like Rain. The others also support him and refuse to grovel. Arios then goes to grab Rain by his shirt and starts saying very foul things about the girls, which makes Rain very furious. Before Arios finishes talking, Rain wipes the smug off his face with a blow, and his team just stares with their mouths open. Arios is furious and can't believe that Rain punched him. Rain tells him that he will do it over again. He says Kanade and Tanya are precious to him, and he will pay if he makes a mockery of them. Arios challenges them to a fight, and Rain agrees. Agath will face Kanade, Lean and Mina will fight Tanya, and Arios will fight Rain. Agath tells Kanade that he has been hoping to fight with the ultimate species. Kanade rants angrily at him and says she will beat him black and blue. Kanade charges for him and blows at him swiftly, while he blocks them with his sword. He is shocked that she is so fast, and that every blow is really strong. She makes a mockery of him, which makes him furious, and he uses his secret technique, Hellfire and Brimstone Slashes, but Kanade deflects it too easily, leaving him in shock. Kanade looks at him disappointed, and says she thought the power he boasted about was something serious. Agath boasts that he will now use all of his power, and Kanade says she will also use half of her power. He is shocked and gets scared, realizing that she has not been using even half of it since. Agath had already given up and decided he could not win, but started mocking Rain, so Kanade attacked him and knocked him out in one blow. She looked at him and decided that she overdid it. In Tanya's fight scene, she taunts Arios, making them angry. The duo cast their spell, but to their shock, Tanya dispels it with the flick of a finger and starts laughing at them. Leanie tells Mina that they should work together and starts boasting. They attack again, and the same thing happens again. They ask her what she did, and Tanya tells them she used Material Canceller, which analyzes a spell and cancels it out with the right wave of magic. So, simply put, these spells cannot work on her. Lean gets angry and calls her a lizard. Mina tells her that the hero party fires nothing. The duo continues to cast more spells, resulting in the same outcome. At some point, they get exhausted but continue to boast. Tanya tells them that Rain will tame thousands of beasts one day. They try one last time with all their might, but she flicks her finger and dispels it. The duo falls from exhaustion. She tells them angrily that they can't get away with hurting her master, and tells them they will now see real magic. Tanya casts a powerful spell and tells them that their souls will be crushed, and she wishes them a good death. As she chants "Ultimate End," the girls scream and start begging her, but Tanya imitates the sound of a bomb with her mouth and tells them she was joking. They had already turned white with fear and faints. In Rain's fight scene, Arios is seen boasting about being the hero. Rain doesn't let him finish and hits him with a blow to the face. Arios says he was talking, but Rain tells him he is not interested. Arios draws his sword and starts to attack him. Rain notices that he moves too fast and thinks his swordplay is impressive. Arios continues to boast while slashing him non-stop, but Rain doesn't feel the desperation he felt when he was fighting Tanya. Rain catches him by his wrist and asks him if that is all he has. Arios is shocked. Rain gives him a fatal punch as he falls back, wondering how he has that kind of power. Rain doesn't stop and goes in for another, but he dodges it. He starts to attack Rain again, asking him how, and Rain explains how he got his power from Kanade and tells him he can't hit him because he is a beast tamer and his job is to study his targets. He explains that he has been studying Arios' fights since the first time they met, so now he knows all his moves before he makes them. Suddenly, Arios sends a ball of lightning that explodes in front of Rain. He tells him that he has the hero's special magic. He attacks with his lighting again, but Rain counters it with his fireball. Arios taunts him and says the only magic he has is healing and fireballs. He continues attacking Rain with different magic spells, but Rain dodges them. Rain thinks it may be hard to fight him with magic, but he fights with the one thing he is good at. Arios charges for him again, but stops midway because he can't move anymore and falls to his knee. Rain introduces him to Arby. Arios is shocked and wonders why he tamed a bee. It turns out that during the sword fight, he sent out his thoughts and formed contact with them. Rain tells him he lost and adds that he is still angry about how he mocked Kanade and Tanya. Arios starts to beg him and narrate how they traveled together, but Rain gives him a final blow and he passes out. Rain smiles, pleased with his revenge, and the girls call his attention, waving happily as they race towards him, and they all embrace each other amidst laughter. Up next, the trio is seen in the Lost Woods. Tanya points out that it is even dark during the day. She says they should just burn down the forest. Rain tells her that it is full of life, so they can't. Rain tells them that the Shield of Truth, which only the hero can wield, is somewhere inside. He looks at the map the hero party made and says it is worthless now, as the woods would have changed paths. He says they need to find the shield because they have been contracted. The scene goes back to what happened after the fight when the hero party hangs their heads in shame and apologizes, but Tanya is not having it as she continues making them do it repeatedly. Kanade asks Rain if they should forgive them, and he agrees. Arios seethes with anger, but agrees they can put the event behind them. Arios tells them that the Shield of Truth is in the possession of monsters in the deepest part of the woods. He gets a bit cocky and says they must acquire it for him, the hero, but Kanade and Tanya angrily reprimand him, but Rain pats them on the head, calming them down. Back inside the Lost Woods, Rain thinks about how to brace for the challenge ahead. The two girls are not having it and tell him they shouldn't have taken the mission. Tanya, with a hair flip, boasts she could defeat the Demon King alone. Kanade asks worriedly if he is okay with helping the hero party. Rain just pats their heads. Tanya asks him why he just started patting them. He apologizes, but Kanade is okay with it. He tells them he was just happy they were angry on his behalf. He says they need to help Arios, since he is the only one who can defeat the Demon King. Tanya tells him that he is too kind for his own good, so they must look after him. He thanks both of them. Tanya says they need to form a strategy. Rain calls a bird and tells them that he will assimilate with the bird and check out the forest from the top. Ren flies away and starts mapping out their path. The other birds also help him. He comes back inside his body and tells them that he found the way. Kanade is thrilled and tells them that they should start going, but the duo draws her back, reminding her that she doesn't know the way. They set off but kept walking non-stop. The girls were tired and asked him how much longer. Just then they noticed the stone they set on a rock when they started the journey, and they all felt frustrated. Kanade asks him if they picked the wrong path, but Rain tells her that it is not possible because the other birds also checked and got the same path. Tanya tells them that there may be something more, so she casts a spell, Material Search, and little light bubbles rise from her rune and start leading them somewhere. The lights led them to a giant tree in the heart of the forest. Tanya tells them that the tree is emitting illusionary magic. She explains the process, but the other two are completely lost, especially Kanade, so she breaks it down and says a spell was cast on them that made them walk around in circles. She tells Kanade to break down the tree, but the two start to bicker. Rain tells them to calm down. Tanya says the tree is causing the problem, so breaking it down solves that problem. Rain asks her to just use magic and take down the barrier without touching the tree. She tells him it is too powerful and may take a long time. Kanade says they can't be late or Arios will make fun of Rain, so she decides to break the tree. Rain tries to stop her, but she has already lunged for it. Suddenly they hear a voice from the tree telling them to leave, and Kanade stops. The voice continues to tell them to leave. Kanade runs and hides behind Rain. Just then a very young girl emerged from the tree. The trio stared at her in astonishment, realizing that she was a fairy, one of the ultimate species and spellcasting specialists with magic power far greater than dragonoids. Humans haven't seen fairies in 200 years. As protectors of mountains and forests, they view humans as their mortal enemies because they destroyed forests. They soon enter into conflict, and the fairies retreat into the hinterlands where humans can't reach them, and because of that, the fairies hate humans. Rain tries to talk to the fairy, but she tells him to leave. He kept trying, but she just said the same thing, leave this place. She threatened them with magic and told them that they would be forcefully removed. The trio ran away back into the woods. They wonder why she is so cold to them, as fairies are known to be warm and welcoming. Rain says it is unusual that she showed herself even though a human was present. Rain suggests that she is protecting something by keeping guard over the barrier, and Tanya says it may be true, since she showed up immediately when Kanade tried to break the tree. Kanade says maybe she is protecting the monster with the shield of truth, but Rain doesn't think so. Tanya tells them that there is no time and they should break down the barrier and continue. She suggests that Kanade break the tree while she distracts the fairy, but Rain says he would rather just talk to her again. Leaving the girls shocked, they try to dissuade him, but he says he would rather not use force. They give up and tell him he is just too kind. Later on, they go back in, and the girl tells him the same thing. Rain says he is not the enemy and wants no trouble. She raises her hand to cast a spell, but Rain tells her to attack him if that will help her trust him, and he tells her not to hurt the other two. She agrees and starts to cast a spell. Rain stops the duo from helping him. Rain remembers how he tamed a wild animal that tried to attack him and says he won't give up. She shoots magic arrows at him, cutting him, but he doesn't move. She asks him why, and he says he just wants to talk. The fairy cannot believe he stood there under her attack just to get her trust and wonders if he is human, like the ones that trampled on their lands a long time ago. He tells her that not all humans are like that. She still goes ahead to shoot him more arrows, but Tanya and Kanade jump in and stand in front of the arrow, so she stops. They tell Rain that he wasn't getting through to her, so they had to step in. Kanade and Tanya try to convince her that he is not a bad person, but Tanya tells her that Rain is against destroying the forest. The duo starts to bicker again about who wants to destroy the forest. The fairy is surprised to see them protecting a human. She extends her hand to Rain and asks for his name. He introduces himself, and she tells him that her name is Sora. Rain grabs her hand as she says that she will hear them out. Later on, they finish narrating their story about the shield of truth. She says that she put up the barrier and will not take it down. Sora explains that the barrier hides the path to the fairies' village and she cannot put them in danger. Tanya tells her that it seems she may be protecting a monster. Sora says the monster story is made up and it is the fairies who protect the shield of truth. She tells them that she will hand the shield over. She casts a spell and disappears, then reappears immediately with the shield and hands it over to Rain. He asks her if she is sure she wants to hand it over. Sora says she despises humans, but hates monsters even more. The trio is thrilled they got the shield. Rain asks her if there is anything he can do to pay her back, and Sora tells him no. She explains to them that the fairies made a pact with the last hero to protect them, and handed it over to the next hero. Tanya assures Rain that Sora seems fine with them taking the shield. They decide to go back to the city. Rain thanks her, and she tells him to leave. As they leave, Sora tries to stop them, but decides against it. Rain feels something is wrong and goes back to her. He asks her to tell him what is bothering her and promises to listen. She stammers, but stops herself from revealing it. As she thinks about how he stood his ground against her earlier, she is sure he will try to help her and then hurt himself. Rain tells her that even though it is dangerous, he is willing to help her. Tanya assures her that Rain is just too nice and can't help himself, so he won't take no for an answer. Kanade tells her that they are stronger than they look. Sora tells them about her twin sister, Runa. She explains that other paths lead to the fairies' village, but she and Runa maintained the one in the Lost Woods. It was boring, but because of Runa, she loved it here. One day, they both ventured outside the barrier and encountered a monster working for the Demon King. They attempted to run, but he caught Runa. Rain wonders what kind of monster it was to have defeated even fairies, and she tells him it was the Shadow Knight. He tells them a Shadow Knight is a C-ranked monster, and it shouldn't be able to beat an ultimate species, but it nullifies all magic attacks, meaning only physical attacks can hurt it, but fairies only have magic. Sora continues to recount her story. She said the monster wanted to eliminate all ultimate species that pose a threat to the Demon Lord, so he told her to lower the barrier in exchange for Runa. But she refused, so she went to the village leader and asked him to help, but he told her to abandon Runa and said they left the barrier, so they must accept the consequence. Sora says she understands that the leader didn't want to risk the lives of so many for just one fairy, but she cannot abandon her sister. Rain wipes her tears and promises that they will save her sister, keep the fairy's secret, and also defeat the Shadow Knight. Tears well up in Sora's eyes, and she hugs him tightly, crying in his arms. Up next, we see the Shadow Knight and Runa chained to a tree. Later on, Sora informs the trio that the Shadow Knight has demanded that she remove the barrier before sundown today, or he will kill Runa. She directs them to the Shadow Knight's hideout. Sora wants to go with them, but they advise her against it, fearing that the Shadow Knight will harm Runa once he realizes that Sora has broken the deal. They promise to bring Runa back safely. Upon reaching the hideout, they devise a plan and attack the Shadow Knight together. Rain distracts him with a fireball, while Kanade lands a kick from above, and Rain attacks him again. The monster realizes that they have come to save the fairy and tries to kill her. However, Tanya blocks the attack with her wings, picks up Runa, and flies away with her. The Shadow Knight tries to shoot Tanya down, but Kanade and Rain attack him together. The Shadow Knight gets angry and turns into a whirlwind, wreaking havoc in the forest. Rain realizes that this was the reason why the Shadow Knight wanted to take the village alone. Rain tells Kinnaid that they must stop him because the forest won't survive this. Rain decides to hold the monster down while Kinnaid hits him, but she is not confident that her attack is enough. Rain assures her that he will handle the rest and seeks help from the Arby's by making a contract with them. He sends the bees towards the Shadow King, saying their sting may not work, but it should keep him distracted. While he is distracted, Rain casts a spell to boost Kinnaid's powers, and she punches a hole through him, killing him instantly. Kinnaid excitedly asks Rain what he did to her before. He explains that, because of Tanya's power, he was able to cast the spell and temporarily boost her abilities. Tanya interrupts them. She says Runa is just sleeping and is fine. She asks Rain how he was able to learn the boost spell because she thought it was lost. Rain tells her that he learned how to cast it in his hometown. Kanade interrupts them and chatters happily about striking a victory pose. They continue to talk, and Runa wakes up. She asks them who they are, and Rain tells her that Sora sent them. Later on, at the barrier, Runa and Sora embrace each other happily. Sora thanks them for saving her sister, and he tells her that there is no need. Sora wonders what might have happened if Rain hadn't shown up. Runa cuts in, makes up a lewd scenario, and starts teasing Rain that his male instinct must be painting a picture. Sora reprimands her angrily, and they run around bickering. Rain looks at them and thinks they look the same, but their character is the exact opposite. Kanade tells them that they can now live together, but they tell her that they must leave. Sora says she can't live with those who would have abandoned her sister. Rain warns them to be careful. Runa says she doesn't want to be captured again, and she is worried that they don't know where to go. Kanade cuts in and asks the duo to join them. Tanya also agrees, and Rain asks the girls if they are fine with joining a party with a human. Sora tells him that he taught her that some humans are good, and although she doesn't trust other humans, she trusts him. Runa tells him that as long as her sister is good, she doesn't mind. Rain happily tells them that he would like to have them on board. The two sisters tell Rain to form a contract with them. Rain is a bit concerned because he knows how to tame different beasts, and even Kanade and Tanya, but fairies are a bit like solving a new puzzle. Tanya teases him, and Kanade tells him he can do it, so he decides to give it a try. He does the usual blood and palm ritual, and although he is still doubtful, as he thinks about what kind of magic he needs to build as he focuses, the right magic structure comes to him. Ray performs the spell and asks the girls to speak their names. Fortunately, they do, and the link is formed. They check their hands to see the pattern. Tanya and Kanade start to cheer him, but Rain feels a bit lightheaded as the spell drains him, and he almost falls, but Sora and Runa catch him and tell him to lean on them. Tanya and Kanade watch them in horror. The two sisters thank him happily and call him master. After they leave the woods, Rain takes the shield to the hero party while the girls hide behind a plant, watching them. They discuss and agree that they'll jump in if anything starts happening to Rain. Rain hands it to them as they look at him in shock. Arios says it has only been 2 days since he left, and Rain tells him that they got it in 2 days. Arios is shocked, says that is impossible, and tells him it must be a fake. Mina casts a spell on it for appraisal, and confirms it is the real thing. Arios wonders how they got it so quickly, so he looks over and notices the 2 new girls. Rain blocks them and says it is none of his business. Rain had made them hide their wings, as it may cause panic if word gets out that way. Arios hands him the money for the job, and he confirms it and turns to leave, hoping never to run into them again. But Agath stops him and asks if he can return to the party. Arios is furious and tells him to stop. Agath tells him that it is clear they need Rain, and he even retrieved the relic that they struggled with. Lean and Mina both agree, and Arios realizes that he has no say in the matter. Agatha tells Rain that he promises they will pay and treat him better. He smiles and downplays what happened, making Rain angry. He realizes that they have not changed at all. The girls come out of hiding, and Kanade tells him he should leave. Agath tells him that defeating the Demon King will gain him fame and power. Rain says that he doesn't need any of that. Rain thinks back on his life, and then looks at the girls and realizes that he has got all he ever wanted. He takes their hand and leaves. The hero party truly never changed, as they continue to call him names after he left. They leave Arios alone in the room as he remembers the fight with Rain. He says the pain and humiliation haven't gone away, and he angrily vows to erase Rain. Later that day, as they sit under a tree, the girls ask Rain if someone else apart from the hero can defeat the Demon King. Rain explains to them that the old legend says the Demon King used his powers to control people, and no one could turn against him, so the first hero made a contract with the gods and took their blood into his body. The hero was able to defeat the Demon King using the power of the gods in his blood. He then freed the people and brought peace. Tanya and Kanade tell him that the first hero sounds like a good man, unlike the new one. He explains to them that no matter how strong other people get, they can't defeat the Demon King without divine blood. But the hero is different, and the blood removes all limits to his growth. He says the power needed to defeat the Demon King is limit break, and only the hero possesses it. Kinnaid says that Arios is very weak, though Rain tells her that he will eventually grow stronger without limit. Sora tells him that everything he just said sounds like him. She says he forged contracts with 4 ultimate species and gained their power. She adds that with every contract he has grown stronger. Runa says that he is no longer an ordinary human, and Sora tells him that all this sounds like the limit break ability he talked about earlier. Kinnaid suggests that Rain forged contracts with more ultimate species, and then maybe he might be able to defeat the Demon King. They all agree that he will make a better hero than Arios. Rain looks at them, feeling a bit overwhelmed. Kinnaid asks him if he doesn't want to fight the Demon King. Rain thinks about his time with the hero party, when that was his goal. When he was kicked out, that goal disappeared. Now he was having fun with the others. He stops thinking and tells them that he would do it if he could. He says that defeating the Demon King isn't like the normal jobs they do, and he says so many are riding on it, so it should not be taken lightly. He then apologizes to them and says he is not mentally prepared to make that decision. Kinnaid apologizes and tells him that they should have considered how he felt. Rain tells them, with firmness, that he will start thinking about it now. They all happily cheer him on and tell him that they will wait for his decision. Kinnaid tells him that no matter what he chooses to do, they will always be with him, and he happily thanks them. It is now time for Rain and the hero to choose their paths. Rain wakes up the next morning, looks at the girls sleeping peacefully, and hopes an extra room becomes available, soon as the space is already too tight. That morning at breakfast, Tanya reminds him about getting a weapon for himself as they discuss. Runa cuts in to talk about the delicious soup, and Sora admonishes her. Rain says he has enough cash since the last mission, so they can go buy weapons. After breakfast, they head out. On their way, Sora and Runa grab Rain's hands tightly, looking around them fearfully. Ray cheerfully tells them that they will be fine. They continue to talk, but the girls scream as 2 gruff-looking men shout Tanya's name. They were both beaten during Tanya's time as the guard dog of Stride Bridge, and the men came to swear loyalty to her. She tells them that she will fight them again once they get stronger. Sora and Runa watch as Tanya and Kanata are able to befriend humans. The kids that always hang around Rain show up, thrilled that he has new faces, and call them new wives, making Sora embarrassed, and Runa teases her more. One of the little girls called them pretty, making Sora blush, and Runa just laughed heartily and tried to show them her power. Sora and Rain quickly stopped her. As they continue walking, the sisters bicker, and Soa tells her that using magic, they expose their wings. Rain tells them that he hopes they get used to life in the town. They reach the weapon store and proceed inside. The 2 sisters are surprised to see a dwarf, Gantz. Rain tells him he needs a weapon, and Gantz tells him to look around and pick. Kinnaid tells Tanya that the shop owner is a bit much, and Tanya says out loudly that dwarfs are known for being cranky. He hears them and turns sternly, making Kinnaid scared. As Rain checks out the weapons, Runa runs in with a whip and asks him to pick it. She starts painting another lewd scene about Rain being a tamer, and Sora is livid with embarrassment as Runa continues talking dirty words. Rain later picks up a dagger, but as he opens it, he feels something is wrong with the blade. Just then, a man walks in and tells Gantz to give him the best weapon money can buy and throws a bag of coins for him. He handed the man a pretty-looking blade, and the man flexed it a few times before leaving. Rain asked the dwarf if the weapon he just sold was the best he had. He added that the sword looks pretty, but it may not be conducive to use in combat. He tells me that everything in the shop is also on display, and not very good. Gantz burst into laughter and told Rain that he has a good eye. He explained to them that these were weapons he made when he was bored. The twins call him a total ripoff, making him angry. He says he doesn't charge for more than they're worth, and he then reveals some of the good ones he made. Rain asks him why he makes the fake weapons when he can make something as impressive as that. Gantz says that people come in and all they want is a weapon to show off, and then after buying the weapons, they throw them away after they find something new. This made him lose his faith in crafting. He recounts that the weapons are like his children, and he just wants them to go to someone worthy. Tanya gleefully tells the man that she got him, and the both of them hit it off. Rain and Kanade both agree that the 2 do seem to have a lot of pride. The dwarf asks Rain how he knew the weapons were different. Rain tells him that his job as a beast tamer entails that he observe things closely, so he picked up the habit of observing his surroundings. Kinnaid and Tanya, as usual, commend Rain for his abilities. Gantz says he likes Rain and would have loved to make him a personalized weapon. They start to celebrate before he finishes, but he interrupts them and says he doesn't have the materials to make a special weapon. Later that day, they all go to the guild and see that it is a little busier than usual. Kanade asks Natalie why it is so busy. She tells them that Arios is recruiting members. She continues to talk, but Rain's mind drifts. Kinnaid and Tanya notice the change in his mood and ask if he is okay. He pats them on the head and says he is fine now. The girls are pleased as their cheeks turn red. Sora and Runa intently look at the exchange. Natalie asks Rain about the twins, and they introduce themselves. Natalie then asks about their relationship, and Runa, as usual, takes the opportunity to turn it into a lewd scene. Natalie misunderstands, and Rain gets embarrassed and tries to explain things. Runa giggles to herself, satisfied. Rain hands Natalie a document and tells her he'd like to take the job. It was a job from Gantz to find mithril ore. The story goes back to when they were at the Gantz store. He tells them that he needs mithril ore to make special weapons. Tanya explained that the weapons made from the ore last a lifetime, but the ore is quite rare. Gantz says his ancestors left him a mithril mine. As the girls realize that he is rich, he tells them that he hasn't been able to find any ores in his mine recently. Rain says it is not possible for him to have exhausted a mine all at once, which means someone may be behind it. Gantz apologized for not being able to make him a weapon, but Rain has other ideas, and the girls catch on and tell him to spill it, and they will all help whatever the plan is. Rain thanks them. He tells Gantz to let them investigate the issue, but Gantz is worried that they may get hurt, but Rain tells him not to worry. Gantz agrees and asks him how much gold he will receive in exchange for his service. Rain tells him to make him a weapon in exchange. Gantz is very pleased that someone wants his weapon more than his money. Later, outside the guild, the team talks about Gantz and agrees that he is not a grump after all and just cares about his weapons. They cheer and hope the mission is a success. They start off their journey to the mine full of energy. Kanade, Tanya, and Rain seem to be enjoying the walk, but they turn back to see the twins exhausted and they both pass out. Rain decides they need to stop and let the girls rest. Sora apologizes for slowing them down, as fairies lack stamina despite their powerful magic. Rain realizes that they are close to a lake and takes them there. The girls plead with Rain to let them swim, and he agrees. Kinnaid suddenly starts taking off her clothes, shocking them. Rain leaves them and goes into the woods to give them some privacy. He then makes a contract with 2 squirrels to inform him in case the girls get into trouble, and he lies down to rest. Back at the lake, the girls enjoy themselves cooling off and relaxing. Something suddenly grabs Kanade as she screams so loudly, waking Rain up. He notices that there is no reaction from the squirrel, but still races towards the girls. Worried, he gets to the lake, ready to attack, but sees a very small fish grabbing her tail. Everyone is shocked as they look at him. Rain quickly turns away in embarrassment, and the girls scream in unison. Later on, as they sat down, Rain kept apologizing, feeling extremely ashamed of what happened earlier. Sora is also livid about the fact that Rain saw her body. He bows his head and apologizes to them, saying he will do anything. Tanya flicks his head jokingly and tells him to behave like nothing happened. They told him it was not his fault since he came running because he thought the girls were in trouble. He thanks them, and Tanya suggests that he should go swimming, but Sora adds that they may sneak a peek at him, and Sora screams at the thought of it. Rain awkwardly says he will pass. They reach the mine and hide just outside it. Rain points out that someone may be inside stealing the ore. He sees a feather fall and looks up to see a bird observing them, and he realizes that another beast tamer may be inside. 2 men walk out of the mine and hear them. Rain tells the girls not to be rough, as he would like to question them after they agree. The girls do the exact opposite and knock the men out. Rain asks what happened, and Tanya tells him that the man ran into her fist. The twins offer to use magic and check their memories instead. Rain is surprised that they can do that. They cast a memory search spell and see the thieves. They tell Rain that there are 5 more inside the cave, and they are all adventurers. The twins ask him if they have been of any help. Rain says yes and thanks them, but they tell him to pat them on the head like he does for Kanade and Tanya. He pats them on the head, making them happy. They prepare to enter the cave, and Rain tells them to be careful because the enemy has been watching them from above, meaning there is a beast tamer among the thieves. Inside the mine, the thieves worry about the men they sent out earlier. The beast tamer tells them that the men have been attacked and tells them to prepare to crush the intruders. As Rain and his team walk inside, a fireball charges towards them, and the fairies deflect the attack. The thieves try to attack again, but they use magic to tie 2 of them up. 2 more try to shoot arrows, but Tanya attacks them swiftly, and Kinnaid ties them up. The last man remaining asks Rain who they are, and he tells him that Gantz sent them. He tries to attack Rain with a dagger, but Rain takes him down with 1 blow. The man refuses to give up and summons a monster, Behemoth, a B-ranked monster. The team wonders how he was able to tame a monster this powerful. The man tells them that he found and tamed the monster when it was young, so he didn't need any special powers. He tells the monster to kill them, and it charges towards them. The monster hits the cave, and it starts shaking violently. Kanade and Tanya take the twins and the remaining thieves outside While Rain stays to handle the monster outside the cave, Tanya offers to watch them while Kanade goes to help Rain. Inside the cave, Rain is still fighting with the beast, but a cave stone falls on Rain's shoulder and the beast almost hits him, but Kanade saves him in time. He thanks her and asks about the others. Kanade tells him that Tanya is watching them. Rain tells her that he will fight the monster while she captures the man. He explains that the fastest way to stop the fight is to capture the man and have him call off the monster. The man angrily says they need to die because no one can know about them stealing the ore. Rain has already studied the moves of the monster and dodges its blow well. He hits it with a fireball to slow it down. Kanade has already caught the man. He tells Rain that he'd rather die than stop the attack. The monster continues to attack him, and he remembers what Kanade told him, that his abilities were stronger than he could imagine. The monster tries to finish him off, but Rain tames the beast and breaks its contract with the thief. The man shouts at the monster, but it doesn't move. He sees that the pattern on his hand has disappeared, so Rain explains to him what he did. Kanade is shocked, as she has never heard of a beast tamer being able to steal another's control. The man gets enraged and starts to shout, then screams at it to attack. This makes the beast very unstable. Rain tries to stop him, but he keeps on shouting till the monster loses control and tries to kill him. Rain quickly steps in, hits the monster with a fireball, and kills it. Rain tells the man that even with taming, you can never remove the animosity they have against humans. He says the monster was trying to stay calm, but the man's animosity drove it to rampage. Rain later talked to the thieves outside and learned that they found out that Gantz sold them bad weapons, so they decided to take revenge on him by stealing the ore so that he couldn't make weapons anymore. They tell Gantz the story, and he feels sad that he deceived people because of his pride in his weapons. He says that he should have made weapons he'd be proud of no matter who wields them. Rain tells him to make things right and put his heart into making the weapons. Gantz is touched that a young boy is comforting him. He promises to deal honestly with his customers and weapons. He then asks Rain what type of weapon he wants, and Rain says he needs a dagger and a gauntlet. He then whispers to Gantz about his ideas for the weapon, leaving the girls very curious. Gantz tells him to give him some time, and he'll get it ready. Rain then tells the girls that it is time for them to have a break, and the girls are delighted. Later that night, Arios is having an interview for his crew. He tells the man in front of him that he didn't pass. The man tries to plead his case, but Arios tells him that it is because he can only tame one animal at a time, and he can't even fight. The man tells him he can tame other animals in battle to help him fight. Arios asks if he can tame an ultimate species, and the man tells him that no one can tame them. Arios still tells him that he doesn't have the qualifications and asks him to leave. Mina tells him that the man was the last one of them. Mina wonders what Arios is doing, because the man and many others that he failed were all qualified for the post. She thinks he just keeps comparing them to Rain. Mina is not happy that they have been doing nothing, instead of going to defeat the Demon King. She musters the courage and decides to talk. She tells him that his criteria may be too strict. Arios angrily asks if she is suggesting that his judgment is clouded. She realizes that he is just trying to pour his anger on everyone and decides to retreat. She compliments him, and he tells her they may need to stay in town longer, even though she doesn't like it. Mina agrees with him and leaves, but she turns and subtly reminds him that he has a mission to save the world. Arios pulls out a ring and says to himself that there is something he needs to do before saving the world, and that is to use the ring and eliminate Rain. Rain goes to the guild the next morning to ask Natalie about the ore thieves, and she tells him that they were stripped of their license and sentenced to hard labor. Rain goes out feeling sad about it, and the twins try to comfort him. Sora tells him that leaving a monster at large may have caused more problems later. Rain cheers them up and thanks the girls. He takes them for a walk through town. The girls are now able to walk around and talk to people on their own. Kanade and Tanya are still at the inn sleeping. The girls come across a hot dog stand, and Rain explains what it is, but they don't understand, so he buys it for them to try, and they absolutely love it. After eating, the girls ask him about the abilities he got from them, just like how he got powers from Kanade and Tanya. Rain thought about it and told them he hasn't felt anything yet. The girls are disappointed, but they ask him to check. Maybe he can access their ultimate magic. They explain that ultimate magic is more advanced than normal magic, and only fairies can access it. Rain checks his mind and tells him that no new magic has appeared yet. The girls are disappointed that their contract gifted him nothing. Rain calms them down and pats them on the head. He says he doesn't expect anything from them. The girls ask him why he puts so much faith in them. Sora said that their village abandoned them, even though it was their fault for leaving the barrier, but he never leaves anyone behind. Runa tells him that he has 2 other strong comrades that are useful to him, but he still acts like they are useful to him. Rain told them that he had been thinking about why things didn't work with the hero party, and it was partly because he couldn't trust himself. When they first set out, he didn't have confidence in himself, and to compensate for that, he worked hard to be useful, but they still kicked him out. He says maybe if he had trusted them, things might have been different. The girl says it is not true, and tells him that the hero party are just bad people. Rain says he can't change the past, but now that he has comrades comrades of his own, he wants to build trust with them. He says he also sees the twins as his comrades. The girls are happy. Runa and Sora start to bicker about food, so Rain tells them that they should go get the others and eat lunch. Rain is happy that the girls are back to themselves. Suddenly, a voice stops them. He asks for the girls' names. They answer him and start to check them out. He says he likes them and will make them his. Rain and the girls are shocked. The twins start talking back at him and insulting him, and the man is even more pleased that they speak back at him and say his desire for them just increased. Rain protects the girls and asks him who he is. The man introduces himself as Edgar Fromware, the son of the Lord of Horizon. He says he can give the girls access to luxury. The twins turn him down angrily. More people were already gathering around. Edgar sends his guard to take the girls forcefully. He asks Rain to hand the girls over, and Rain refuses, and Edgar gives the order to attack. To his shock, Rain defeats all his guards. He tells Edgar to give up, but he laughs wickedly and says he always gets what he wants. His guards take the people who were standing around hostage. He tells Rain that the people of the town will pay the price for his refusal. Rain thinks about how to save everyone at once, but the hostages are held at different points. Sora offers to help with magic, but Rain thinks that they may not be able to stay in the city if their secret is revealed. Rain thinks hard about how to save everyone and finds a new magic in his mind. He cast a spell that made several fireballs at once and took out all the guards. The twins are surprised he performed a consecutive incantation, a special fairy skill that helps you cast one spell multiple times at once. He points a sword at Edward and tells him to leave and never show his face again. Edgar turns to leave and tells Rain that he will regret this. The twins thank Rain for saving them. The people who were held hostage also thank him for saving them. An old lady tells them that she is glad they are fine, but they have to leave Horizon and go far away. Just above them, Arios is seen looking at Rain with a wicked smile and the ring in his hand. Back at the inn, Runa narrates everything that happened to Kanade and Tanya. They all discuss the magic that Rain used. Rain said he now has better control of his magic than the last time he practiced with Tanya. Sora says their magic control, which he got from the contract, has made him control the magic he got from Tanya. Runa is happy that they are now useful to Rain. Kanade commends them, and Tanya can't believe she slept throughout the action. Kanade is angry and starts calling Edgar names. Rain tells them that, according to the townspeople, Edgar kidnaps women and locks them in his mansion. Tanya wonders how he gets away with evil, and Rain tells her that his father uses his power to silence the victims. Kanade wonders why the knights don't arrest him, and Runa says that he was investigated, but they couldn't find evidence. Tanya is enraged and thinks it might be time to burn Edgar's mansion. Rain calms her down and says she can't just rush in there with guns blazing, but she is already too angry and tells him that the man might come after the twins or the townspeople. Rain says they need to tread with caution. Rain thinks about all the townspeople and says he wants to save them all, but he is not a hero. He remembers the old woman's words to leave the town. Kanade tells him that she knows what he is thinking, but he can't help the town by running away. He is surprised they know what he is thinking, and Tanya flicks his head and says that she knows he wants to save everyone, but he thinks he needs to choose between his team and the town's people. Sora and Runa also tell him that it is too much to carry other people's burdens, but that is just who he is. The girls all agree that they want to save the city instead of running. Rain thanks them and says he will stay and help the city as they cheer for him. Later that night, Edgar and his father just finished talking, and as the Lord turned to leave, he told Edgar to ask him if he needed help. Edgar said he could handle it himself. He turns to his guard, Gile, and asks about the event from earlier. Gile tells him that if anyone files a complaint, he will have them dealt with. Edgar tells him to investigate Rain and bring him in. He throws money at Gile and tells him that he gets a bonus if he brings Rain. Gile agrees and leaves. Edgar remembers what Rain did to him, is furious, and says he will make him regret it. He then rings a bell, and a young girl comes to the door, very scared. He pulls her by her hair and angrily shoves her to the ground. He started insulting and beating her up with a wicked smile on his face. The young girl weakly begs for someone to help her. The following day, Rain and Kanade go to the Order of Knights. She is a bit nervous to enter. They go in and tell the receptionist that they want to file a complaint for assault by Edgar. The receptionist is a bit surprised. A knight interrupts them and says he heard it was just a minor scuffle, so there is no need for them to investigate. Kanade starts to tell him off, but Rain stops her. The knights make a joke about it, and they all laugh. As Rain and Kanade walk back to the inn, Rain tells her that the knights may be working with Edgar, which is why the investigation always fails. Kanade stops abruptly as she feels someone in a dark alley. A female knight comes out, and Kanade says she was following them. The knight surrenders and says she was following them to talk. She apologizes to them for not being straight with them. Rain is surprised that she bowed to them and tells her that it is fine. She introduced herself as Stella in Place, Vice Captain of the Horizon branch of the Order of Knights. Rain and Kanade also introduce themselves. She thanks Rain and says she heard that he and Kanade defeated the Ebonfangs, and back then, and now, She is ashamed for failing to protect people as a knight. She tells them that she wants to punish Edgar's family for their wrongdoings and that she needs his help. Stella explains that most of the knights have been corrupted and work with Edgar. She says that they have forgotten their duties and now cover up crimes for Edgar and his family. She says that their leader, Gillet, is also in on it. She was contemplating how to restore the knights when he showed up to make a report. She tells him she can't trust anyone, despite her rank, and asks him to help her. Rain thinks that he wants to help, but it may be a trap. Kinnaid interrupts his thoughts and tells him that they can trust Stella, as she doesn't send any bad vibes. Rain tells Stella that they will help. She is thrilled and thanks him. She asks him why he is going after the Lord of Horizon, and Rain says they found out what was happening and decided to do something about it. Stella is surprised and asks if that is the only reason. Rain is confused and says it is the only reason they have. She starts laughing and says she finds his attitude charming, but then tears drop from her eyes, and she says she wishes she had done it earlier. Rain goes to her, and with a smile, says that it is not too late. They both shake hands warmly. Kinnaid cuts in and happily cheers, as she says they should take down the Lord and the Knights. Stella tells them that they need proof, or they may be accused of treason. Rain thinks up an idea and says they can bring them all down at once. They ask how, and Rain says they'll set a trap. Later that night, they all gather to discuss the plan. Stella also comes with a few trusted knights. In the morning, Rain goes to collect something from Gantz. At the order of knights, someone brings a message to Gillet. That night, they are on a roof, and Stella commends Rain and says everything went as he predicted. Runa boasts that this is going to be easy, but Sora warns her not to jinx it. Rain gives them the go-ahead to start the plan. Down below, Gillet addresses the knights. He tells them about a rumor of a warehouse with proof that the knights were colluding with the Lord. Gillet says he doesn't believe it, but if it is true, and the proof comes to light, it will be the end for both them and Edgar. Gillet says they must deal with it without Stella and the others knowing. The knights go to the warehouse, and Gillet tells them to destroy the target as soon as anyone sees it. They enter the warehouse, but something hits them. They try to open it, but the door shuts. Outside the warehouse, the twins are casting a spell and sealing the doors. Inside the warehouse, the knights are being attacked by Rain using a gauntlet that he asked Gantz to make. That was what he went to collect the morning before the attack, and Gantz told him that the dagger may take a while to make. Stella commends Rain for the weapon. He tries to shoot Gillet. Gillet counters the attack with his sword, surprising them. Gillet sees the duo, and Stella tells him to surrender. She says her comrades are already taking over the branch office. She tells Rain that they need to finish this, and Gillet realizes that he is the one called Rain, and tells him he will be capturing him and presenting him to Edgar. Stella asks Rain to let her fight Gillet, and he agrees. She goes down to face him, and Gellert says she will be executed for treason. They start to fight, but he distracts Stella and hits her. Rain calls out to her, but she tells him not to worry. Gillet tells her that there is no justice in this world. She remembers a young Gillet who she used to look up to. Stella charges towards him and slashes him as he falls to the ground. She angrily tells him that he abandoned justice for greed. Back at Edgar's mansion, he heard about the Gillet and his night arrest and poured out his anger on the young girl, beating her as he went. Edgar stops and says he has a lot of guards, so they can't touch him. Suddenly, Arios interrupts him from the window and says he is a hater of Rain, just like him. Edgar only realized then that Rain had worked with Stella to plan the takeover. Arios tells him that Rain tamed the ultimate species, and Edgar doesn't stand a chance. He tells him that Rain will still take everything from him and destroy his lifestyle. Edgar is furious and says he owns the city. Arios gives him the ring and tells him that it brings death to its target. Edgar looks at it and laughs wickedly. Arios tells him that negative emotions will bring out the ring's power even more. He disappears as he tells Edgar to bring death to Rain. The scene opens up with a young fox-like girl lying down on a porch, relaxing, singing a song, and remembering how everyone here is so nice to her. Up next, the same girl is seen in a cell, locked and battered. She is the same girl that Edgar has been using as his punching bag. She silently whispers for someone to help her. Up next, Stella and her knights are seen trying to gain entrance into the Lord's mansion, as the guards try to stop them. She tells them that she is here for an inspection. The guards ask for Gillet, but she tells them that he has been arrested for corruption, but the guards still refuse to let them through. Kinnaid and Tanya step in and tell them that Stella is in charge and she fights for justice. The duo continues to sing Stella's praises and gets too dramatic. Stella is embarrassed and tells them to stop. She commands the guards, in the name of the king, to step down, but they refuse and call the others. Hundreds of guards come out and prepare to defend the mansion. Kinnaid and Tanya are pleased they get to fight. Stella thanks them in advance for their help, and the girls say it is their pleasure. Inside the mansion, Edgar hears the sound of the battle going on outside and grins wickedly. The gate to the mansion explodes, and Tanya and Kinnaid walk in. He sees the both of them and says they are the ones serving Rain. He looks at the ring and says if he uses it to kill Rain, then the contract with the girls will end and they'll have no will to fight, so perhaps he can become their new master. Rain enters a dark room with the twins, and he says it looks like time has started. It turns out they used the commotion outside to enter the mansion easily. Rain and Sora discuss how to rescue the kidnapped girls, but Runa gets too hyped and raises her voice. Sora stops her and says that they need to be quiet. Rain tells them they have to go, and Runa again shouts in excitement. Sora tries to stop her. Runa casts a material search spell, and Sora says that all humans possess magic, and the spell will help them trace and find the victims, and use their magic to teleport them out of the mansion. Rain and Sora discuss the plan to catch Edgar. Runa tells them that she feels a huge magic signature below them, which may be a kidnapping victim. She says she also feels another powerful magic, and it doesn't belong to a human. She adds that the magic is on par with theirs. Rain is surprised and wonders what an ultimate species is doing in the mansion. He tells the twins to rescue the victims, while he checks out the source of the powerful magic. The twins think it might be dangerous for him. He pats them on the head and thanks them for their concern. Rain says he can't use teleport magic and won't be of help to them, and he apologizes that they have to reveal themselves in front of people. The girls are surprised and wonder how he can be worried about other people at a time like this. Runa tells him that he will be punished if he doesn't come back safely. Rain promises them that he will be back safely. Next, Rain is heading towards a door, looking for the magic source. He opens the door and sees someone inside the cell. He realizes that she is the ultimate species, a demigod. As she begins to wake, Rain raced in and broke the lock, startling her. He casts a healing spell to tend to her wounds. He reassures her that she is safe and introduces himself. He then asks for her name, and the girl in tears says, Nina. She embraces him. The story goes back in time to when Nina was first kidnapped as a child. Edgar is seen looking at her while boasting about scoring an ultimate species. He tries to grab her, but she protects herself with magic. He cursed at her. He orders the guards, and they hold swords to the children as he uses them to threaten her. Nina pleads with him not to hurt them. He hands her a slave collar and tells her to put it on. She puts it on, and it nullifies her magic, and Edgar beats her up, mocking her and laughing wickedly. Back in the present, Nina completes her story and tells Rain that she has been here all alone and in pain. He tells her that she is very strong, and he pats her head. He tries to remove the collar, but she backs away. Nina says the spell on it is too powerful, but Rain tells her it is all right and she can trust him. After a little while, she agrees. Rain focuses and tries to overwrite the control on the collar, but it repels him, and it starts to hurt him, but he doesn't stop. Nina feels bad and tells him to stop. She cries as she sees him in pain and tells him to leave her, as no one will be sad to lose her. He holds her, and with a smile, says he'd be sad. He then remembers all the powers the girls gave him, and realizes that he is not alone. He uses all his might and breaks the spell. He almost fell as the magic drained him a bit. Nina catches him, and as she embraces him, she tells him that she doesn't want him to suffer, as it would make her sad. Outside the mansion, the guards are still trying to protect the mansion. Tanya is already bored with the fight, and Kanade teases her. The leader of the guards orders them to bring out the women so they can use them as hostages. But suddenly, fireballs rain on the soldiers as the twins appear. The twins inform them that they have taken the prisoners to a safe place, so they don't need to hold off anymore. Tanya cracks her knuckles happily, and Kanade jumps in excitement as they go all out and attack the soldiers. Stella tells her knight to arrest the guards once they have been subdued, while she goes inside to arrest the Lord's family herself. Edgar watches everything from his window. His father walks in and asks why he couldn't handle this. Edgar tells him to escape while he erases all the proof, because without it, the knights have nothing. His father is pleased, and he leaves. Somewhere in the mansion, Rain carries Nina on his back, and the girls call out to him. He introduces them to Nina, and they all scream in unison that he picked up another girl. Rain stammers for a bit, confused, as they start to tease him. Tanya tells him they were joking because the twins already told them everything. They start to talk about Nina, but Runa drops one of her lewd comments again. Kanade started rubbing her face on Nina's tail, screaming that it was fluffy. She assures Nina they're all here for her before crushing her in a hug. They all start to talk at the same time, and Rain happily looks at them. Stella calls his attention and commends him. They both agree that it is not over until they arrest the Lord and his son. Just then, the Lord runs out and sees them. Stella tells him to surrender, but he refuses. Rain uses his gauntlet to tie him up as he lands and falls. Edgar comes out and points the ring at Rain, telling him to die. An ominous magic flows out of the ring and forms a grim reaper. The reaper attacks Rain, and Kanade tries to stop it, but it hits him. Outside, Arios is seen watching them from a distance and is happy that his plan worked. He says he will finally be able to sleep well and fly off. Rain opens his eyes and is surprised that nothing happened. Kanade hugs him happily. The others try to look for a wound on his body, but Rain assures them that he is fine. Sora says that what they saw was the epic magic of Death Scythe, an instant death spell that inflicts death on anything. They all wonder why he didn't die immediately. They start brainstorming ideas for why, but nothing fits. Nonetheless, they are just relieved that he didn't die. Runa casts a poison spell on him, but it doesn't work, and she shouts in victory, but Sora drags her by the neck and starts admonishing her angrily. Tanya and Kanade join in when they find out that it is poison. Runa explains that Rain got a second power from the contract with them, status effect nullification. The girls realize that's why he didn't die from the instant death magic. Runa feels pleased about her experiment, but Sora is not having it, as she continues to choke her angrily. Nina is spooked by all the commotion, so Kanade tries to calm her down. Rain and Tanya both agree that Sora is intense. Edgar watches them from the balcony and grows more jealous of Rain. His rage and jealousy get too much, and he breaks the ring, exposing a giant purple blob. It attacks and swallows him. The blob grows, and Rain tries to stop it as he blasts it with a fireball, but the entity solidifies and starts cracking open, and a demon comes out of it. It thanks them for awakening him. Rain realizes he has seen it before. It was the same one that burned down his village. The demon says it will now kill them to express its gratitude. Up next, the demon is still threatening to kill them. Suddenly, it flies out of the mansion, heading for the town. Rain tells them that the demon's real target is the people of this city. Rain doesn't want to involve the girls in the fight, but he turns around to see them all smiling at him. He asks Stella to look after the townspeople and Nina. Nina tries to join in, but Rain tells her that she doesn't have to. They all assure Nina that they can handle it and ask her to wait at the mansion. The demon had already reached the middle of the city and started blasting the houses. The people scampered away to safety. He looks at them and starts to mock them, and just then Kanade kicks him to the ground. He makes a mockery of Rain and his team. Rain informs him that he will be destroyed, but the demon breaks into laughter. While he is talking, Kanade, Tanya, and Rain start to attack him. Rain ties him up with the gauntlet, but he immediately breaks free. All these were distractions, and he didn't see the twins performing behind him. They hit him with a powerful beam, and as the smoke settled, the demon walked out, unscratched. Feeling outmatched, he decides to call for reinforcement and summons monsters. The monsters attack, but Rain and his team easily defeat them. Tanya remarks that the monsters are useless. However, the demon claims that he can summon an unlimited number of monsters and proceeds to summon more. Kanade attempts to fight the monster, but the demon hits her with a beam. Rain quickly rushes to check on her, while Tanya charges at the demon and uses her dragon breath to defeat the monsters. Rain and the twins use their healing magic to treat Kanade, and she eventually wakes up. Tanya attempted to use dragon breath on the demon, but he countered her fire with his beam and overpowered her. Rain quickly came to her side to check on her. Fortunately, Tanya woke up unharmed. The demon then released multiple beams into the sky, which landed and blew up the houses, turning the entire city red. Rain fired a multi-shot fireball, but it did not affect the demon. However, it served as a distraction for the twins to hit the demon with a light blade and freeze him for a short time. Rain then boosted Tanya and Kanade and instructed them to finish off the demon. The duo hit him multiple times with swift attacks, and Kanade tried to deliver the final blow. Unfortunately, the demon remained unscathed. He flicked his finger, and dozens of monsters appeared. He left them and flew away, intending to destroy the rest of the city while they were distracted. Tanya tried to stop him, but he blocked her. Rain suggested that he had an idea, but that the people would be attacked by monsters in the meantime. This frustrated him, as he didn't know how to help them. Sora told him they could help. Runa then suggested using teleport magic to get people to safety. Rain thought it was a good idea, but was concerned about the girls' identities. They reassured him, saying they didn't mind and that they wanted to protect the city as much as he did. Rain was pleased with their willingness to help. Up next, Arios and his team are seen inside their residence. Agath and Mina say they should be out fighting, but Arios tells them that their only enemy is the Demon King. Lean agrees with him and thinks it might just be a rumor, and Agath says, "What if it is true that a demon appeared?" Arios is annoyed and asks both of them if they are questioning his judgment as a hero, and they tell him no. Arios knew that a demon was sealed in that ring, and all he could think of right now was killing Rain. He was sure that Rain wouldn't be able to escape the instant death spell. Stella and the Knights are working hard to secure a route for civilian evacuation, but they are worried that the monsters are too strong and may overpower them. To boost their morale, Stella gives a speech to lift their spirits. However, the twins interrupt her and suggest that they can move the citizens using magic. Stella agrees to help, and the girls thank her, after which she leaves to bring people so they can be moved. The twins reassure Nina that they will protect her and start preparing for the spell. Meanwhile, Tanya and Kanade continue to fight the demons and clear a path for some townspeople to escape. However, the monsters keep coming in greater numbers each time. Stella returns with a group of people and explains that the magic circle will lead them to safety. However, when they see the twins, they realize that the twins are fairies and start murmuring refusing to enter the circle. The twins feel sad that no one believes them. Suddenly, the man they bought hot dogs from the last time walks up to them and asks how it was. The girls told him it was delicious, and he walked into the circle. The little girl who called them pretty also walked in, and more people joined. The girls teleported everyone out safely. Stella asked more people to step in, but a knight informed her that the monsters were present, making everyone scared. Sora tells Runa to handle the monsters while she takes care of the teleportation. Rain and the duo were growing tired, as they were outnumbered by the monsters. However, just as they were about to be overwhelmed, the men whom Tanya had previously defeated on Stride Bridge arrived to assist them. The men informed Rain that they had not come alone and recounted what had happened at the guild. Natalie had informed the adventurers that Rain's party needed support and urged them to help as backup. She warned that without their intervention, Horizon may be lost, since the hero party was absent. Gantz then entered and offered weapons to anyone willing to fight. The adventurers all agreed to help. The men who had arrived held off the monsters, creating an opening for Rain's party to move ahead, while they stayed behind to take care of things. Rain was grateful that everyone was putting in so much effort to help. At the teleportation station, Stella and the knight hold off the monsters. Sora continues moving people, while Runa also keeps the monsters at bay, attacking them with her magic. Nina looks around and sees everyone working hard, but she feels scared because she would rather not hurt people or get hurt. Sora turns but doesn't see Nina. Rain tries to cast a spell, but the Demon Lord is still too far away. He tells them that he needs to get face to face with him. Kanedi suggests that Tana turn into a dragon and fly him there, but Tanya says that her dragon form is not stable, and that if she attacks from afar, the monsters will block her again. She asks about teleportation, and Tanya informs her that they need to cast instant teleportation, and the twins can't do it. Nina interrupts them as she runs to hug Rain. She tells him she wants to help. Kanad and Tanya get an idea and tell Rain that Nina can cast the instant teleportation spell. Rain explains to Nina that he has to get over to the demon, and Nina says she can do it. The two girls ask Rain to go on while they handle a herd of monsters. They commend him and tell him that they believe in him. Rain picks Nina up and runs with her. The demon wonders what he is trying to accomplish alone and tries to attack, but Rain dodges the attack. He continues to attack him, and Rain dodges him well. The demon sends a giant beam their way, but Nina instantly teleports them to the demon's side, shocking him. Nina continues to move them around, eluding the demon. Rain boosts himself as the demon continues to make a mockery of him. He then sends his minions after them, but Rain appears in front of him and casts a spell on him. The power of the demon almost overwhelms him, but he remembers his comrades and makes the spell work, stealing control of the monsters from the demon. He cannot believe it. The girls cheer Rain on from below as they watch. The demon breaks from the binding spell on him and tries to attack, but Rain sends the monsters to attack him, and the monsters kill him as a light explodes in the sky. As he disappeared, the demon asked Rain for his name, but he refused to tell him. Rain watches as he completely vanishes. Just then, Nina loses consciousness, and they start falling, but Tanya catches them in time. They all stand together watching the sunrise. It wasn't perfect, but Rain was happy that they were able to keep the city safe. 3 days later, everyone helps out to rebuild the city. Stella was appointed as the new captain. The knights who colluded with Edgar were moved to the capital for punishment. Stella looked into Nina's village, but the villagers moved after Nina was taken. Kanadi has been a huge help in rebuilding the city. Tanya thought no one knew she was a dragonoid, but it turns out they already found out a while back. Runa and Sora fit into the town very well and still love hot dogs. Rain is now considered the city's champion, although he calls himself an ordinary beast tamer, even though the girls know that he is special. In the next scene, Rain's party is seen having a meeting. Nina expresses her desire for Rain to have a contract with her as well. Rain agrees and performs the spell, after which Nina speaks her name to seal the contract. Kanade jumps in excitement and hugs Nina, and the others join in, almost crushing poor Nina. Rain meets Stella at the guild, where they discuss collaborating. Earlier, the guild had no intention of working with knights, but they now welcome the idea as she has become the captain. The team congratulates Stella for her new role, and they continue discussing the events of the past few days. Stella expresses her gratitude towards everyone for their help. Natalie informs Ryan that the guild needs to discuss some important matters with him. She reveals that he has been promoted to C rank, skipping D rank because of his exceptional achievements. Ryan is curious about the reason for this, and Natalie explains that he exposed the Lord and killed an A rank demon. Moreover, Stella and other adventurers recommended him for the promotion. Rain tries to be modest, but Tanya flicks his forehead and encourages him to accept the honor. All the girls agree that he deserves it and is too humble. Natalie also mentions that Rain will receive a significant amount of compensation. Rain tells the girls anything they want since they will have a feast to celebrate. The girls happily chatter away. Natalie notices Nina and Rain introduces them. Natalie is excited and quickly hugs Nina, but also realizes that she is a demigod. She wonders if Nina is angry with her for treating her like a child, but Nina reassures her that she is not angry. Rain then tells Natalie that their current room is too small for 6 of them and asks for her advice. Natalie suggests that he buy a house and tells him that the guild serves as property agents and gives subsidies, especially for talented adventurers like him. Rain asks for the girls' opinions, and they all agree that it is a good idea. Rain agrees too, and the girls are thrilled. Later that day, the group sees several houses, but none of them meet their requirements. Natalie declares that this is the last place she wants to show them. She explains that it has everything they asked for and is within their budget. They all ask her why she didn't show them this one first, if it's so great, accusing her of hiding something. Natalie confesses that the house is haunted. Kennedy screams in terror, while Tanya teases her. Kennedy tells them that physical attacks don't work on ghosts. Natalie explains that the ghosts in this house do mischievous things, like turning over pillows, making the bathwater cold, replacing sugar with salt, putting rotten eggs inside shoes, and rubbing curry on clothes. She says nobody has been willing to buy the house. Kennedy is terrified, but she agrees to take a look. They all go inside, but Natalie refuses to join them. Once upstairs, Nina sneezes, and they all scream in fear. They realize that the house is too clean for a haunted house. Suddenly, everything started to shake inside. Suddenly, a woman, Tina, appeared and told them to leave the house, and Kennedy screamed in shock. The twins used magic on her and hoped it worked, but she came back angrier. The twins start talking about spells they can try, but the woman starts throwing tantrums, asking them to leave. Tanya realizes that she can't attack them. Tina decides to pick on Kanata and pops up in front of her. Kanata is livid and screams uncontrollably. She continued to pick on her, but Kanata got furious at some point and started attacking her like a wounded cat. She managed to tear the woman's clothes. They are all surprised, but somehow Kanade's fear reaches its limit, allowing her to be able to hurt the ghost. It was the ghost's turn to be hunted now, as Kanade chased her non-stop while she begged. The twins cast a spell and formed a barrier to block her escape. Tanya grabs Kanade and tries to calm her down. She comes back to her normal self and doesn't remember what she did. The ghost tries to attack Rain, but he stretches his hands and tames her, and she freezes in the air. Rain recounts that when he was young, a man from his village told him about phantom taming. She screams and says it doesn't explain how he can control ghosts. Tina attempts to grab him again, but falls face down. She tells Rain she gives up, and he can go ahead and burn her, but Rain just introduces himself and offers her his hand, saying he just wants to talk. She laughs and calls him a weirdo. Later on, the ghost introduced herself as Tina Holy, and she used to be a maid in another city. She died 30 years ago, and then ended up here. She tells them she isn't bound to any location. Tanya asked how she ended up as a ghost, and Tina said her boss was a real womanizer and a pervert, and he killed her. Rain asks her what she wants to do, and Tina tells them that since she couldn't drive them out, she planned to leave and apologized for causing trouble. Rain asks Kanade if she is still afraid of Tina, and she says yes. She tells them that if they're all with her, then maybe she could get along with her. He pats her on the head. Rain tells her to stay with them. Having her around makes the house cheap. She is surprised and decides to stay, but she doesn't trust him. Tanya tells her that Rain is just kind to a fault. Everyone welcomed her and said she could stay. Tina agrees with pleasure. Later that day, Rain signs the house contract at the guild. Natalie commends him for convincing a ghost to join his group, and Kanade tells her that they are having a housewarming party later, so everyone is working. Rain tells her that they need to go run errands, and Natalie adds that Horizon is now his home. This makes him so emotional. At the market, Arios tries to buy fruits from a shop. He informs the man that he is low on funds, so it has to be free. The townspeople are already looking at him angrily. His comrades also smugly make degrading comments. The shopkeeper apologized and informed him that he had nothing to give him. Arios is angry and starts to ramble about being on a journey to save the world. The man gets angry and says they didn't even help save Horizon. Lean tells Arios that they should go somewhere else, but the next woman informs them that no one here will give them any provisions. The townspeople start calling him names and mocking him for hiding during the attack. Arios draws his sword and destroys a stall. He walks out with his comrades running behind him. Someone from the crowd mentions Rain, and Arios gets even more enraged. Later that evening, Rain and Kanade are on their way back from the market with plenty of gifts they receive. They continue to talk on their way, and as they reach the door, Kanade runs ahead of him and stands at the door as she says, "Welcome home." Rain is so pleased to have a place to call home. During dinner, they commend Tina and Runa for making so much food, although Tina tells them that she can't taste the food because she followed the recipe. Runa boasted for a bit about her helping with the food. Kanade and Tanya bicker about the meat and fish. Nina thanks Rain, and everyone stops to look at her. She tells him that she is not alone anymore. Rain remembers his lost home and how empty he felt before he met them. The other girls also thank him. Tina looks at them and says they are so lucky, but they inform her that she is one of them now, so she is not alone. Rain thinks about traveling with the hero party and how empty it feels, but meeting the girls gave him something. He even thinks about his parents. Everyone stops to look at him because tears are dropping from his eyes. He awkwardly states that being hungry made him cry, and the girls happily offer him food.